Hey, Mike, the defensive pressure that you guys were able to get on Brock, it seemed like that was really important. It really kept him on his toes in a way that was really hard for him. It seemed like, how big was that? And specifically, Malcolm had that blitz that caused the intentional grounding play. How big was that in the first half to kind of shift things around?
It was a big part of the game, and he's hard to corral. He's really good. If you make a mistake, he'll dip out and under like he did on the touchdown at the end of the game. And it's difficult to blitz him and pressure him because of his ability to make people miss and get out in the open. But we knew we had to. They're good up front this year, in our opinion, and majority of the formations they're using are tight end heavy, so it's hard to get pressure on him. But our guys were relentless, and we were able to get enough on him at times to keep us in the game and to keep his feet from getting set in the pocket.
What about that blitz up the middle that Malcolm had to really force the issue there? Because you guys turn around and score, I think, 4 plays later.
Yeah, Jim made a good call there, and that was the one that took him out of no, that wasn't one of them took him out of field goal.
Missed a field goal.
Okay, so that was the one, yeah. So that was a huge play in the game. That play, which you helped me on because I couldn't remember when it was, and then number 80 catching the punt on the 1 yard line were two of the biggest plays in the game that didn't have anything to do with the touchdown.
Thanks, Mike.
Our next question comes from Joseph Fazio from the O'Colly. Go ahead, Joseph.
Coach, Joanny and Logan combined for 6 receptions for 81 yards. Can you just talk about the importance of the Cowboy back position today, and especially with Joanny getting that touchdown?
Those guys have been good for us for a number of years, and we just felt like there was an opportunity with the style of defense that Iowa State plays. They're, they have a unique style and they're good at what they do. We felt like that gave us some opportunities. There's some voids, in our opinion, in that spot on the field where those guys are a lot in our alignments.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Our next question comes from Scott Wright from the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, Mike, how would you analyze Spencer's play today?
He was good. He made a mistake on the second interception. The play call was we made a play call. They countered it better than we made it, which happens. So, in my opinion, he should have just pulled the ball down and run. He tried to force it into a coverage that's not set or built for that play. His first interception, he just underthrew the ball. They had a guy wide open, and he threw the ball about a foot too low. But his ability to run, he rushed for 82 yards. His ability to run and make plays kept us in the game. At times, convert first downs. A couple times he got pushed out of the pocket, dropped the snap one time, picked it up, made a big play. So we got some things out of him that he shows you that he gives you in practice. He might mistake something and get you in a bad play, but then he might turn around and make 2 or 3 really good ones, and that's what we had today from him. So, Shane had practiced good all week and was ready to go, but there wasn't any point that Spencer was in a position that we needed to set him for any reason. His composure in this game was really good. I got on him a little bit at the end there because, he wanted to throw the ball, and we were in a 4-minute offense and up by 10. He doesn't quite understand throwing it when you're up by 10 versus a coach understanding not throwing it when you're up by 10. But other than that, he did a really good job in this game with his composure.
Seemed like you were really comfortable putting the ball in his hands there in the end of the game to go ahead and close it out.
Their style of play, Scott, on defense, you have to be able to hit those lanes, throwing the football where we hit them, and your quarterback has to rush the football unless you're going to be a heavy-set 2 tight end team and just run it down their throat. And that's not who we are, so our matchup has to be a little different.
Thanks, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Our next question comes from Cliff Brunt from the Associated Press. Go ahead, Cliff.
Okay. Coach, can you assess your defense against Breece Hall? Obviously, you had the 2 big runs, but then outside of that, he didn't get a whole lot. Just your thoughts overall on how you performed against him.
Yeah, we got out of position on the long run. They ended up rushing for 227. They had the long one, the 65-yarder that pushed it up there. But and minimizing big plays is such a big part of the game today. Scoring when you get inside the 10 touchdowns instead of field goals, and then minimizing big plays. We gave them that big one, but we forced a lot of punts today, okay? And they're a good football team. They're unusual a little bit with so much 3 tight end style of offense that they run. And if you're not careful, you can get out of your gap. And that's what happened to us a couple times. But overall, I thought that our plan was way better, and it was executed way better than it was when Purdy was here as a freshman. In that game, I thought they got us. And I thought that Jim and them rallied today, had a good plan, and were able to keep us in the game and force some 3 and outs, or even after we had turned the ball over, not letting them score. Those were 2 huge series in this game.
Our next question comes from Chris Becker from the O'Colly. Go ahead, Chris.
Hey, Coach. Good win today. You talked about it earlier with Spencer's running ability. Can you just talk about how important that is to an offense to have a quarterback who can escape the pocket and create plays on his own?
Whatever your quarterback's strength is, I think the best thing coaches can do is play the strength of their quarterback. That's his strength. He throws the ball well when he's rushing the ball well. So safeties, invert safeties like they play in the middle with, once they start becoming a factor in the run game, that allows him to be a much more effective passer. And so, as we said earlier, I thought he handled himself well, rushing for 80-something yards and then still being able to hit a few throws. He just made the one bad decision. If he wouldn't have done that, overall, you're talking about a big-time day, he's going to be 20 of 29 for 2-something if he just had one pick on the naked, and, he made a poor decision on the other one. Should have just ate the ball and ran it. But, he hadn't played in a while. So it's been, I don't even know how long it's been now, a month and a half maybe. So I was pleased with him, but I'll go back to what I said earlier. I was mostly pleased with his ability to keep his calm and keep his head, and he was cool throughout the game. He didn't lose. He didn't get too competitive, which he does sometimes. I thought he had his composure throughout the game.
And then how does his ability to run help LD and Chuba in their opening up holes for them?
Well, it takes one more guy out of it. When a quarterback has a chance to keep the ball, that's one less guy that can flow front side with the running play. It just becomes a numbers game. And so I'm going to guess that most people that play us are going to be concerned with stopping our running backs. And so somebody's got to stay backside now. That opens up your backside cuts. And there was times that Chew and LD had to make the joker, the robber in the middle of the field, miss, 2 yards across the line of scrimmage. But we knew that going in. Our coaches, our offensive coaches knew that there's going to be times where we're going to make that guy's miss. And it's the way it is. We had good running backs, and we told them you're going to have to make them miss sometimes. And for the most part, they did a pretty good job of handling the guy in the middle of the field.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach.
Our next question comes from Sam Kahn from ESPN.com. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Mike, defensively, you guys held them to 3 of 13 on third downs. What made you guys effective there, both today and all season, where you guys have been successful on third downs?
Yeah, I had the 3 of 13 circled right here. I was going to get into that next. They have been really effective on third downs. If you take away their first game, when they really weren't themselves, in my opinion, I don't want to speak for Matt, but if you take that game away, they've been a really effective team on offense, okay? And holding them to 3 of 13 is big. We were 6 of 16, so we were okay. We'd like to be a little better than that, but the 3 of 13 was big.
Our next question comes from Bill Haston from the Tulsa World. Go ahead, Bill.
Hey, Mike, I wanted to ask you, you kind of alluded to this with Scott Wright, but Spencer Sanders, this is I think his first complete real game performance in 51 weeks, which is an eternity. Even if you've had a million practices, there's got to be some rust there, right? And also, but I wanted to ask you about his ability to recover from those mistakes? Because it didn't look like he ever let his body language get bad, or he didn't seem to let it get him down.
Yeah. Well, the answer to both of those would be yes. I didn't know it was 51 weeks. I'm glad he didn't tell me that before. That made me nervous.
Huh.
I didn't realize that, but I guess that's correct because he didn't finish last year. So, and then earlier what I was talking about was he did a really nice job with his composure in this game. Spencer's ultra competitive, and he wants everything to be right all the time. And it's not going to be that way in football. It's certainly not going to be that way playing quarterback. And we've discussed that with him, but that doesn't always mean it's going to work out. So he's a much better player, like we all are, when we're calm and we can think. I mean, I got the same problem. I mean, I do it on the headphones sometimes with coaches. I mean, you know, I want to win. He wants to win. But to answer your question is yes and yes. He did a much better job of staying composed.
The two deep plays made by your secondary, Mike, one on a breakup and one on a pick.
Mm-hmm.
Were they? I mean, those were two. I don't remember better plays on deep throws ever made by guys here than those two today.
You know, I think what you were trying to say, Bill, that you were being nice, is over the last 3 or 4 years we hadn't made those plays.
Hey, I'm going back 15 or 16 years, Mike. I mean, those
Well,
are big.
I can't remember that far back. So
Yeah.
I have a hard time remembering, you know, what I ate for dinner. So, but what I'm saying is if our defense will stay humble and they'll keep practicing hard, they're really practicing good. Our football team is practicing good. I'm trying to get them to ignore the outside sources and tell them how good they are. But what you're saying, you've been covering this for a long time. We haven't made those plays. We haven't laid out like that full extension and knocked the ball down on 3rd and 12. If we don't do it, he's going to catch it and he's going to run up the field for another 20 yards. And then Peel coming across and going up and making the play and intercepting the ball and not just knocking it away. He intercepts the football. They're gaining some confidence. Confidence is a powerful thing in everything we do in life, particularly in sports. And they're gaining a little confidence. Every day they get a little more confident.